Hi, this is Cindy Rowe with the Kindness Advantage with Cindy Rowe podcast, where in 10 minutes or less, I will give you ideas on ways to implement kindness not only into your personal life, but your professional life as well. So excited to be back here in 2025. What an exciting beginning of the year. Um, so I have titled this, Are You Listening, Rich? Because um, well, I could have titled it The Kindness of Strangers, but I was hoping to get Rich's attention. So, recently I flew from Chicago to Pittsburgh, and I had a gentleman, Rich, sit next to me on my flight there. And it was very interesting. So he was the last person on the plane. They had already said it was a full flight, and I had the empty seat next to me. And so he comes up and he's like, "Up, I guess I've ruined your day. I get to sit next to you." And I'm like, "Oh, no, they said it was a full flight. I was expecting you." And he sat down and just started chatting and asked what I did. I told him I was a professional speaker. He asked what I spoke on, told him I spoke on kindness, and he thought it was very intriguing. So he had asked quite a few questions. And throughout the plane ride, we learned a little bit more about each other's personal lives, professional lives. Learned that he had three daughters. And I told him I had two children, and he shared what he did for a living, and whatnot. It was fun. So he had asked if I had a podcast, and I said yes. And he's like, "Well, what are your numbers like?" I'm like, I really don't care. I don't really put out my podcast for numbers. I put out my podcast for content and just to share information. I'm not really concerned about the numbers. And I'm like, I don't do anything fancy. I basically record and put it up. And again, he was very intrigued, and he said that him and a friend wanted to start a podcast themselves. And so I gave him my business card, and he looked at the picture and he's like, "This isn't you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It's me." And he's like, "No," he's like, "You're not smiling." And I'm like, "Well," I said, "but that was from a photo shoot." I said, "Well, it actually was from a photo shoot from my marketing business." He's like, "Yeah," he's like, "You look too stiff." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I got out my phone to show him other pictures that I have had taken of me professionally. And he grabs my phone from me and starts scrolling through my photo album. And he looks at me, he's like, "I probably shouldn't have done that, right?" And I'm like, "No, not really." He didn't give it back to me right away. He kept looking at me at the pictures, and I was just sitting there thinking, "Wow, okay, that takes a lot of guts for a stranger to do that." However, I will say, I was not offended, and I think we had built enough rapport that I wasn't worried that he was going to do anything more than just look at the photo album that I was showing him, with my phone, and I felt really comfortable. And he's like, "You need to get a new photo shoot." He's like, "Just have your daughter take a picture." He's like, "But you need to smile." I will tell you, Rich, that I have been thinking about this for ever since we sat next to each other. I believe you are correct. See, sometimes we get so stuck in um, our own stuff that we don't see what other people see. And I think Rich gave me a gift to have a more approachable picture on my business card when I'm speaking about kindness. Now, it's not a horrible picture. And for those of you joining me on video on YouTube, I will show it to you. See, it's not that bad, but he is right. I look um, too professional. Uh, I don't look approachable, and I think he's right. And so I am going to be doing new pictures, and something more fun, maybe with a microphone. I don't know. Definitely with my hot pink because I always wear hot pink. And yeah, and with a smile. So thank you, Rich, for that gift. I truly believe you gave me a gift for that. Um, now, another gift he gave me was we had landed in Pittsburgh and it was snowing. And I was like, oh, they said that I was supposed to get 1 to 3 inches. And he's like, well, here's my business card. And he's like, I want to extend an invitation that if the roads get too uh, challenging, I will come and pick you up and make sure that you get to your hotel. Now, I was driving about an hour 15 from Pittsburgh to go to my speaking event. And it was mid-afternoon. I think we arrived at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. He's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, I would never tell you that I would help you if I didn't mean it. He's like, I love helping people. I love doing things for others. And I could tell. I could tell it was genuine. I could tell that he really wanted to be helpful. Um, but I thought I was going to be fine. And then I was driving in a Pennsylvania blizzard. It was treacherous. Illinois snow and Pennsylvania snow are completely different. You guys have hills and mountains, and we have cornfields. So it was quite a challenge. My hour and 15-minute drive took me over 3 hours. And I did make it safely, and I didn't have to speak till the next day. So that was that was a good thing. But my whole story, the reason I'm sharing this on my podcast, not only to get Rich's attention, and I hope you comment or share this in your social feed, Rich, but the kindness of strangers is one of the most truest forms of kindness. And when it's done authentically and done from the heart, it truly is life changing. I Has it changed my life immediately? No, but I have never had that experience on an airplane before. Normally, people sit down and they're into their phones or their laptops or their books, or they put on a mask, a sleeping mask, and their earphones, and they don't want to have conversation. Rich and I talked the entire time. I don't even know how long the flight was, to be honest with you. I did not get bored. I learned something about another human being. I learned that kindness can be found everywhere, and people that have good hearts always find their way to you. So, thank you so much, Rich, for those gifts. And I just encourage my listeners to comment or I have a link in the show notes for sharing your kindness story. I love to hear them and I would love to share them on my podcast. Um, but let's go do something kind for a stranger. Let's strike up a conversation with a stranger. You never know where that conversation is going to lead. Thank you so much, Rich. Again, it was a pleasure meeting you and flying with you to Pittsburgh. And I look forward to my next venture out in Pennsylvania. I just absolutely love that state. So I will leave you like I leave you every week. Together, we can make waves of change through kindness. We'll see you soon.